All right, so you've already watched your MedPass video. Now I am going to go over the documentation. You went over the grid. I'll show you that again, but I thought it'd be easier to just zoom in. That way, if you want to review documentation, you can separately. Okay, so this is just about 6 slides called How to Document on the Med Sheet and Count Book. So you'll have your med sheet and count book in front of you. Excuse me. Now remember this medication administration grid. Remember you had wash your hands, look for the medication, unlock. You then got into the checks. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Checks 1, 2. Then you prepared the medication. Check 3, you give it. And so you also say, I will observe you for swallowing. Then you did the silent look back, and then now we're on the documentation. So we're focusing right here, okay, on documentation, documenting on the med sheet and the count sheet. And it says if needed, but like I said in the other video, you will need to do it because to pass this class, it will be a countable controlled med, meaning it has an N or a C, and about 99% of the time at the state, it's a countable controlled med, meaning the RX has an N or a C. All right, so that's the section we're focusing on, the documentation. So if you don't have your med book and count book in front of you, please feel free to pause and get that. All right, so remember good old Tanisha Johnson, and so we just went over the med pass, and so it's Tanisha Johnson. We're documenting on 4 p.m. March 3rd, YR. Okay, so when you go to document, we already did the med pass. You're going to make sure you're in the right month, which you are, hopefully, because that's the med you gave. You're going to make sure it's the correct client. Remember, down in your bottom left, Tanisha Johnson. So now I'm going to document with a pen and red. Excuse me for my throat. I'm going to document with a pen and red. Now, it's going to be a little messy because didn't mean to do that. I'm doing it on the computer. But you're going to get the point. You're going to go here to March 3rd. Remember the days at the top rows. It's days 1 through 31, and it's the month of March. And then, so it's March 3rd at 4 p.m. All right. So this open box right here that I'm highlighting in yellow is where you're going to put your initials. So let me put it to the initials and see if I can do this here. Where'd my cursor go? Okay. So there, I'm putting my initials SV right there. Now in real life, you would stay within the box. But again, it's a little difficult on the computer. Now, because it's the first time that I'm documenting on this med sheet, I'm going to initial and sign the bottom. So say if I gave meds the entire month through the 31st, I wouldn't have to initial and sign the bottom again. But because it's the first time, I'll do that. So now I'm on the bottom under Sam Dowd. I'm initialing, and I'm just going to do a squiggly line for signature because it's going to be too difficult to sign it. All right, so that's how to appropriately document on the med sheet that you gave it. You're up here on March 3rd at 4 p.m., the correct time. Just go by the scenario. You don't have to commit it to memory. You put your initial. Then you come down. I'm under Sam Dowd. You initial and date. Initial and sign. Okay, initial and sign right there. And that's documenting on the med sheet. Now let's go to the count book. And again, if you need a moment to get your count book out, feel free to pause. The count book here, let me highlight here for you. This is the index page, okay? The index page in the count book. And now it's Tanisha Johnson. And now what I don't want you to do, remember, don't get excited because you found Tanisha, because a lot of people have several, like David Cook has 2 and Tanisha has 2. And so you want to make sure you have the right medication. So we are indeed doing Tanisha Johnson clonazepam 1 milligram on page 3. All right, so now this has told you where to find the page. Flip to page 3. And again, remember pages are on the upper right hand corner. And what you're going to do, you're not reading anything off, but I'm just going over as a double check to ensure that you're on the correct page. So Tanisha Johnson and medication clonazepam. So you could feel comfortable. Yes, I am trying to document Tanisha Johnson, and it is her clonazepam, so I have turned to the correct page. All right, so if you don't remember the date, just look at the scenario. And again, it's going to be difficult for me to write, but the scenario date was March 3rd, YR. And remember, it's the date and time from the scenario. You don't have to commit it to memory. If you don't remember it, simply just look at the scenario. It'll be in front of you. And it was 4 p.m. 4p. So remember again a tip when I'm so many videos in, I forget which video, but I've said it several times. If you're international, you don't want to fail because of your date. Remember, it's a month, day, year. Month, day, year. Now, the month and day are the same because it's March 3rd, but I want you to keep that in your mind. Root is mouth was the root. Again, my handwriting's messy. Now, on hand, you don't have the blister pack in front of you. Let's say we had 29 pills, right? You see 29 is written in the digits. And then say you gave one, not say you gave one, the directions were to give one. So hopefully you gave one and you didn't do an overdose. So notice that this column, I didn't put digit 1. I wrote out the word O-N-E, and then you would be left with 28. I will do a video on blister packs, like how to look at it and look at the numbers. We'll do that. And then you sign. I'll do my squiggly line. So let me just highlight again this amount used column. Amount used is the amount you gave the clients, okay? So don't get confused. I've noticed some people get confused. Amount on hand is how many pills you had in the blister pack before popping the appropriate number of pills, meaning that would be the amount used, the amount you gave the client, and then the amount left is what you should be remaining, is the subtraction, okay? Amount on hand is in digits, amount used is in letters, O-N-E. If it was 2 tablets, you'd write T-W-O, and so on. And amount left is 28 in digits, okay?